Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the WrightBet presented by First Star Logistics and sponsored by Betfred Sportsbook. Today's show is a special show because we're previewing UFC 287. Not only are we previewing it, we're here to make you guys some money, right? We're here to make you guys some money. So we'll be giving you our predictions while also giving you our betting locks. This is something that I have not done in the First Star studio since, joining this wonderful family. I haven't done it yet. I have not done my UFC locks or preview card, but that's what we're doing here today. I'm pretty pumped up about it because you guys know me. Last year went 116, 55, and 2 on all my UFC picks. So I'd like to say that we know what we're doing. Joining me today, we've got Danielle Almeida, of course, my co-host on the WrightBet. We've got my main man from TWSN, our co-lead MMA writer, Ted Ashbrook, in the building. He's a huge Israel Adesanya fan. Yeesh. He's going to be giving you guys his opinion, his takes on the big fight between Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira. But before we get into all that, make sure you guys give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not done so already. And without further ado, boys, let's get this show underway. Starting off, we've got Sam Hughes taking on Jaqualine Amorim. Now, let me just say this right now. I love Sam Hughes personally. Big Sam Hughes fan. I like the energy she fights with. But I do have one big problem. It's the judging. It's the scoring of women's MMA as of recently. So I've been very, very bullish on, I would say, making a pick, if you will, when it comes to a lot of women MMA fights, because it's not that they're not talented fighters, because they 100% are. It's just that these judges have been so atrocious. They have not been grading women fighters on the same rubric or basis that they've been grading men fighters, which makes it so difficult. Now, I will say the girl that Sam Hughes is taking on is a tough out, honestly, and that explains the minus 280 line that she currently has. All odds are obviously via Betfred Sportsbook, so if you're not betting with them, I don't know what you're doing right now. If you have the opportunity to, make sure you go out there and you bet with them. I'm going to kick this over to Ted. Ted, start us off. Who do you like in this fight, Jaqualine Amorim or Sam Hughes, and tell us why?
Amorim is a BJJ world champion, second-degree black belt. This is going to be her UFC debut, but she, as Malik said, minus 280 favorite. And then you got Sam Hughes, who's finished 5 of her 7 wins. So we're looking at a women's fight with a plus 90% finish rate between the two fighters. I actually have my first sharp play of the night on this. I don't pick girls either. I do not. And it's not because they're not talented. They're just as talented as the men. But it has proven to be the most volatile thing to bet. And MMA, if you bet MMA, you know this is the most volatile sport to bet. A minus 1,000 favorite can get knocked out. A plus 800 underdog can catch a submission. So I'm not making a pick on who's going to win this fight. I'm taking on the Betfred Sportsbook app under 2.5 rounds at minus 115. Those are great odds for people that have finished. Let me do some quick math here. 11 of 13 professional wins at minus 115. That's even money. Amorim's going to submit her. If this goes to the ground, she's going to submit her.
Absolutely.
But why take that submission when you could just take the under, and if it goes reverse and Sam Hughes knocks her out, you cash out at minus 15, even money. That's my first sharp play of the night. I love props. I know you don't always see a lot of props in the MMA sphere. This is a sharp play and higher value than picking either of them, in my opinion.
I like it. And I'm of the same belief, especially with these two, fighters. It's very it can be back and forth, and we've seen a lot of decision, go the wrong way, especially in women's fights. So I like it, right? I look at Amorim, and she's finished all 6 of her fights, her pro fights, right? But at the same time, like Sam Hughes, I went back and rewatched her fight against, I think Elise Reed, and that was like her only time for me. That was like, okay, she looks damn good. I don't really have a side I like. I'll definitely tail you on the under, though. I think this fight's definitely gonna get finished, so I like that.
I'm taking Jaqualine to win this fight. I think she's going to submit her. I don't think that it's going to be particularly close when it hits the mat. And that's the play I like for this. But again, if you're going to bet that, that's the play I would bet. Otherwise, I'd pretty much stay away. I'd bet a submission prop. Ted, what were the odds on the submission prop? Was that up?
Not up yet. Okay. I imagine that will be at, I would say, around that plus 175.
Yeah, I agree. Let's keep the card rolling. Shailin Nurmagomedov is going to be taking on Steve Garcia this upcoming week, and Yelin is the favorite to win this fight. He's the favorite to win this fight, and I'm here to tell you right now, he's not going to win this fight. Steve Garcia is the better boxer, right? Yelin has wild strikes. He's going to attempt to grapple, but I think he's going to attempt to grapple when it's far too late. Steve Garcia I don't know what it is about Steve Garcia, but it seems like Vegas does not like this guy. Every single time he fights, he's the underdog.
Way too close odds with
Bro,
Chase
he
Hooper.
wasn't he the underdog at one point in that fight with Chase? Closing on that fight, Chase Hooper was the minus 200 something favorite against Steve Garcia, and Steve Garcia was like plus 140. And I told everybody Steve Garcia was going to win this fight. He went on there and whooped that kid's behind. You know what I mean? And I feel like this is going to be no different. I think Nurmagomedov, he has a lot of power in his hands, but if you ask me, he's going to have to be able to put it all together. He's going to have to be able to slip strikes and be sort of the first one there. You know what I mean? I don't think that's going to be the case in this fight. Steve Garcia is the way better boxer. I like Steve Garcia's durability as well in this fight. And I just think that Nurmagomedov, he has a hard time, getting his head off, center line, if you will. And I think Steve Garcia is going to, I think his head's going to be there for the taking. So Steve Garcia, my first underdog play of the night. Steve Garcia at plus 160 on the Betfred Sportsbook app. You guys are hearing it from me first. Steve Garcia, and he is going to go to my official plays on the TWS and Patreon as well. So if you want to, hit big this weekend, that's the play for me. Ted?
I like it, and I agree. That would be my pick for a winner. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but I'm going right back to it. Under 2.5, minus 145. It's just a slightly I'm taking Malik's pick. I'm saying Steve Garcia is going to finish him. I'm just giving myself that little cushion
for sure
of if it goes the other way. And here, Shailin, his path to victory would be a submission, period.
Yeah.
That would be his path to victory. He just fought Chase Hooper, and it never came close to a submission. Who's a better submission specialist, Chase Hooper or Shailin? I'll bring up just some quick stats just to really show you why I like this under 2.5. Minus 145, Vegas favors it. That should make you confident. Shailin, 10 losses, 8 by finish. 29 of his 39 wins by finish. Garcia, 13 wins, 10 by finish.
Yeah. Somebody's getting
yeah.
finished. Cue the let the bodies hit the floor, because somebody is going to lose in this fight. And I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia is going to end the night. And maybe, just maybe, Vegas will see this fight and they'll be like, you know what? Steve Garcia is, I don't want to say the truth, but he's a problem.
Yeah.
He's a problem. Maybe we need to stop disrespecting his line with these journeyman type fighters, or these guys that have fought over 100 times.
50 fights is the definition of a journeyman.
Right.
Him and Jorge Masvidal have 100 combined fights on this card.
Twinning them. You said they have what?
I think off the top of my head, George Masvidal and Shailin, both on this card would probably have a combined over 100 professional fights.
Oh yeah. So Daniel, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, the way I see this fight going, Shailin, however you say his name, I went back, I rewatched some of his fights, and it's very not boring, but his path to victory, like you said, is submission. And I think he's probably gonna have at one point in this fight, he's just gonna grind him up against the cage. But I think Garcia is gonna put him on his back foot. Garcia is hands down the better boxer. So you definitely, especially at plus 180, you have to go with the better boxer, because Shaya didn't really do anything special. I don't know. That's what I saw. Like, just grind it up against the cage. It was a very boring, just clinch type fighter. That's not going to work against Garcia. He's going to keep him on his back foot. I like Garcia to win.
I'm telling you guys right now, the moment I saw Steve Garcia as the underdog in this fight, and even yesterday, he was like the plus 200 some odd underdog. It's going down and down. I think people
so that
are
also
like,
means money's coming in.
Oh yeah, people are starting to see, what it is. And I'm telling you right now, Steve Garcia is going to win this fight. Nurmagomedov does not move his head, and that's a recipe for disaster against a guy like Steve Garcia. If you don't believe me, go ask Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper is a guy that walks around with his head up and he walks forward. He doesn't slip a lot of punches. His whole entire thing is to take you down. Chase Hooper is a much better grappler than Shailin Nurmagomedov.
You got finished in round 1, right?
Yeah, but he got brutalized.
Yeah.
Not just finished.
Not
he got
close.
brutalized in round 1. He got, as Israel Adesanya would say, what would he say?
Frozen like Elsa.
No, not frozen like
Not
Elsa. Butchered in round 1.
Yeah.
He's gonna get butchered in this fight. So that I think this thing is gonna be an ugly looking fight. I think you're gonna see his face all cut up. Next, moving on up the card, we've got Ignacio Bahamondes taking on Trey Ogden in this fight. Daniel, kick us off in this fight.
This is a fun one. This is one I went back, like, Bahamondes, he was one of my, not favorite fighters to watch, but I always liked, looking at his style. I do think he's got a lot of flaws personally. I don't think that I don't think, after this fight, his career, like he'll have a good career. I don't think he's a superstar young prospect, but what I saw with him is hands down enough to beat a guy like Trey Ogden. Trey Ogden, average fighter at best, very average. I believe me and Malik were watching a fight, him versus Daniel Zellhuber, the Mexican lengthy guy, very similar, length to, Bahamondes, but Zellhuber didn't throw in that fight. I watched that fight. Zellhuber threw maybe like 50 punches. Bahamondes is going to throw a ton in this fight. He's going to completely outwork Ogden. I just watched Ogden. I was like, I wasn't happy. It was just very basic. So my first official play, I'm taking Bahamondes money line, throw it in the parlays. He's not losing this fight, right? Regardless, his last 2 fights, the only time he was really in trouble is if, the opponent really established a jab, 1-2, 1-2. Ogden doesn't do enough work for me. So I think Bahamondes is going to win this by decision.
Yeah, I like that pick. These guys are big ballers on the play. So if you're putting up $500 on a play like them, you can take Bahamondes straight up. If you're a lower unit guy like me, I think Bahamondes is more of a parlay piece.
Oh yeah, he's a parlay piece for me. I'm not betting him.
I was trying to
we might put a stack down on this parlay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We might put a stack down on this parlay.
I was trying to pull up the exact height and reach difference because it's
ridiculous.
It's bad. It's like I think it's 4 inches either way, height and reach. Trey Ogden's path to victory is submission. He's going to have a hard time getting inside on Ignacio Bahamondes.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying Ignacio Bahamondes, where do I know that name? Knockout of the year.
Yeah.
Spinning back kick. I think here's another, like Daniel said, I think one issue with Bahamondes is just the visual.
Yeah.
He looks like if any boxing fans are watching this, he looks like Sebastian Fundora, where he's going to be too skinny, too long to take a punch, but the guy takes shots better than it looks like he will.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Ogden's not going to hit him with anything. I think he's going to have a hard time taking him down. And Bahamondes is good off his back. He's lanky. He can put you in that triangle, and not even to get the submission, but just to stop you from beating his face on the bottom. I don't see this fight being very close. I think the odds are actually pretty accurate. Malik, do you have a play here?
I mean, I think that Ignacio Bahamondes is a parlay piece. I would not single bet him at all
100%.
because not that I don't think he's going to win. I think I know for a fact he's going to win. It's just more so that line is kind of juiced a little bit, minus 380, and I'm pretty sure it's only going to go up. I think he's going to probably close at probably minus 425 or something like that. I think that's what we're looking at here.
The lines on these cards are moving.
They are.
It's been interesting to watch. So with that being said, I mean, if you're watching this and you like a pick, go get on that Betfred Sportsbook app. Bet it right now because that line could move not in your favor very fast.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are all going with Ignacio Bahamondes. Yet we have not disagreed. Just
not yet.
We have not disagreed just yet. But
if you know me and Malik, we will disagree.
So the next fight moving on up the card is Cynthia Calvillo taking on Lupita Godinez. And let me tell you this right now. Lupi's going to win this fight. Cynthia Calvillo needs to retire. She's done. She just lost to Amanda Nunes. She just lost to Nina Nunes. Nina Nunes is a girl that hadn't fought in 2 years. She retired after that fight. And she went out there and she made Cynthia Calvillo look like the person that was off for 2 years. I don't know what Cynthia Calvillo is doing anymore. I don't know why she's still getting these opportunities. But if you ask me, I think that this is, usually you guys hear me say I'm staying away and stuff like that. No, but if I was to bet, I would take Godinez at minus 295. And usually I don't bet women's fighters who are almost a minus 300. But I would take Lupi in this fight. I think Lupi's the better fighter at this point in their career. Cynthia Calvillo, she's a type of a lay and pray style of fighter. You don't have to worry about too many submissions with her. You don't have to worry about her with the knockout power because she doesn't have good stand-up. But yeah, I think this is going to be one of those fights where she's going to have a reality check, if you will, and have to figure out if she wants to continue doing this thing called MMA because it's a grind, man. It's a grind. And I just don't think Lupi wins this fight. I'm sorry. I just don't think Cynthia Calvillo wins this fight. I think it's time for her to hang it up. But Daniel, what are your thoughts?
I just thought it was funny. You said lay and pray. I think that's exactly, her path to victory. But all I remember is, Calvillo, she got absolutely bulldozed by Andrade.
Bulldozed.
Absolutely, like bulldozed. So for me, I look at that. Yes, she's had a run in the UFC.
How the run she was on was crazy. You remember?
Yeah.
I tried to look it up real quick, but she was in the top 5.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Do you remember what people were saying during the Jessica Andrade fight? They said, "Oh, she might be Jessica Andrade," and I remember me and Ted both saying, "What are people watching? Jessica Andrade is going to kill her. She's going to kill her." And literally, people are like, "Oh, Cynthia Calvillo is a problem. She's going to have Jessica Andrade problems," and that was supposed to be the fight that was supposed to break her through. Didn't happen. Jessica Andrade worked her. Nina Nunes worked her. And guess what? Lupita Godinez, I don't think Lupi is I don't see her as having championship aspirations. Isn't Lupita the same fighter? Her sister's like an all-American wrestler or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, like these girls are different. Like the Godinezes are different. And I think Lupi is gonna I think she's just gonna work Cynthia. I think the better I gotta see when the props do come out officially because obviously it's Thursday. But I would just take this fight to go the distance. Take this fight to go the distance, and I would take Lupi Godinez. Now, or if you want, you could do Lupi by submission.
Yeah, I don't dislike that at all. I'm kind of with Malik here. This is juicy. You got two, like, even we think of Calvillo as like this vet, but like 9-5.
Yeah.
Godinez 8-3. That's not a lot of experience between the two of them. Also, 9-5, lost her last 4. That's definitely pretty fadeable for Calvillo, but minus 295 is juiced up. I think I'm staying away from this.
I hear you on that one. Daniel, any of your thoughts on it?
No, I agree. I definitely would stay away. I mean, like the only thing.
Who are we picking though? We all picking.
Oh no,
Godinez.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
Okay.
I'd have to go back and like look at her finishes if she has a lot, but I almost think Calvillo is so bad I would stay away from going the distance.
Oh yeah, she's very bad.
Yeah,
but I think she goes. But I think she goes the distance with her. I do.
Yeah,
I do.
And I don't think she's been finished a lot.
She's enough of a vet to keep this fight close. I mean, when I say close, I mean close in the standpoint
she's not
gonna
getting
get
knocked out.
Not getting. Knocked out.
I think Godinez could be a parlay piece too. Actually.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
But again, if it goes to decision,
you
just never
I'm
know.
probably not touching it.
You just never know. But we're gonna move on up the card. That ends the early prelims. And again, we agreed on every single fighter on the early prelims. This is scary.
So far.
This is scary. I don't like this. Me and Ted usually disagree. Usually there's fire. So just so you guys know, we're just gonna run through this one more time. And we appreciate you guys for tuning in to the Right Bet presented by First Star Logistics and sponsored by Betfred Sportsbook, the official and exclusive sportsbook betting partner of the show. Just running through the early prelims again. We all took Jaqualine Amorim. We all took Steve Garcia at the underdog play, which was plus, what was he again?
160.
Plus 160.
In that range.
We all took Ignacio Bahamondes. We all took Lupita Godinez. And now it's time to move on up to the preliminary card. This is where things get exciting. Maybe not for this next fight, but Karl Williams is stepping in on short notice to take on Chase Sherman. Can we all agree Chase Sherman's going to lose this fight?
Yeah, but I actually will be the one. These are my guilty pleasure fights. I do like the ugly heavyweight fights. I like this.
See, I don't want to say yes. Like when I watch them, Karl Williams is one of the best. I'm not going to say chain wrestlers I've ever seen, but like heavyweight or bigger chain wrestlers I've seen. But when I saw his fight, it looks like he gets into not big scraps, but when it's standing up, he keeps his chin in the air. He's just scrapping back and forth. It's a heavyweight fight. I'm going to pick Williams because I believe it's chain wrestling and I will always go with the wrestler. I just wouldn't be surprised if Sherman keeps it close on the feet.
Let me do okay. So let me just say this.
On the feet.
Chase Sherman is a guy because he's not going to be on the feet for long. Karl Williams going to take this fight to the ground. Chase Sherman is a guy that if it wasn't for a late call from the UFC as of recently, he'd be fighting in BKFC.
Yeah,
that's what he was about to do. He was about to make his debut in bare knuckle championship fighing.
Yeah.
They called him and flipping burgers at Wendy's. They called him and they said, you know what? They said, they called him and they said, you know what? We need you to take on Jared Van Dera.
We need somebody to lose to Jared.
Just so you know, Jared Van Dera and him both in the UFC both have 1 win combined, I believe. They are atrocious. They are the bottom of the barrel. They are what we call maggots in the UFC. That is what they are. Guess what? Jared Van Dera got knocked out on a late replacement fighter, right? In the name of Chase Sherman, right? Chase Sherman is now taking on Karl Williams, a guy that dominates his guys. Let me make a prediction for you. You're going to see Chase Sherman slammed on his head in this fight at some point or another. I think Chase Sherman is going to get TKO'd via ground and pound pretty easily within the first 2 rounds of this fight. I am not going to sell you guys a boat. Karl Williams is every bit of the minus 430 favorite that he should be. That is what he is. Chase Sherman is atrocious. He's one of the worst heavyweights that I've ever seen. I put him right up there in terms of my least favorite fighters as Karolina Kavovich. You guys know how I feel about her. Trash, awful, bad, horrible. Everything, every bad name that comes to the book when describing a fighter, that is what Chase Sherman is. He's trash. He's bad. He's the heavyweight that the UFC calls when they say, hey, we want you, we need a guy that is making his UFC run to either get knocked out or submit you. That's how bad this guy is. And I hope somebody clips this, because when it happens, you're going to be like, oh, damn, Malik was right. Yeah, no kidding. Chase Sherman's awful. He's trash. Do not even think about it. I know the plus 325 number may look attractive to you, and you're looking at heavyweights, and you're like, Karl Williams came in and is accepting this fight on short. I don't care if Karl Williams is accepting this fight on 30 minutes notice. He would work Chase Sherman. Chase Sherman is awful. He's trash. And that's the way I see it. Karl Williams, again, is going to win this fight, and he's going to make it look easy. Ted?
Yeah, I think Chase Sherman is just in the UFC because the timeline hasn't lined up for Jailton Almeida to beat him in the first round, because that's who he is. We keep him around to let these good heavyweights beat him. I agree. I do have a sharp play here, though. And
let's hear it.
You guys are going to start to, I'm kind of just giving out my algorithm of how I make money on UFC. But this one, William Sherman, heavyweights, under 2.5, plus 105.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
On the Betfred Sportsbook app. Hammer it.
Is
That
unders plus
will
money?
move. That will move. And you're going to look. Chase Sherman does not necessarily finish people.
Yeah.
Unless your name is Jared Vandera.
Williams does not really necessarily finish people. Chase Sherman gets finished.
Yeah.
Chase Sherman quits.
Yeah.
Yes.
Williams will pick him up, put him down until Sherman doesn't want to be in this fight anymore. I actually think it could even get sweaty. This could be a 3rd round finish. But at plus 105, on 2 sloppy heavyweights, because I do agree Williams is a good wrestler, but like Bresky got like the demon out of it. Like Bresky just made it a war, and Williams accepted that it was a war. Yeah. At plus 105, they're not prolific finishers.
Right.
Chase Sherman is going to get finished.
Yeah.
He's what, minus 400, Williams? Yeah. You can get him plus 105 to get it done in like 10, 12 minutes.
Ted, I know, I am so confident in this play. I know the exact way he's going to get finished. He's going to be on the ground. Karl Williams is going to have his back. He's going to do that little thing where they hold your wrist control. You're holding it, and you just are beating him up against the kick. The Dagestani handcuff. That's exactly how Karl Williams is going to win this fight. And you're going to see Chase Sherman quit. That's what's going to happen, because that's what this guy does.
Call. I do not think that's a bad call.
Do you remember how I predicted Jalen Turner's finish over Brad Riddell? He was going to hurt him on the feet. Brad Riddell was going to go for a takedown. Durantula Turner was going to lock in a guillotine choke. And what happened? The exact same thing I said was going to happen. And guess what? I have not missed a UFC card probably since, I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago at this point. I watch every single card. Doesn't matter how bad it is or how good it is. Doesn't matter if pay-per-view or not pay-per-view. I've watched enough Chase Sherman filler cards because he's always a filler heavyweight that the UFC loves to put on these cards, even though he's atrocious. Karl Williams is going to finish this guy, and it's going to be ugly. Anyway, want to keep the conversation rolling. Gerald Meershaert is taking on Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer is making his UFC pay-per-view debut. Joe Pyfer is the guy that he won Dana White's contender series
with a check hook from heaven.
Right. And you know, Joe Pyfer, I remember everybody, the whole thing was like, be like Joe Pyfer. Be like Joe.
That was how Dana said it was like the 3rd week of contender, and the first 2 weeks nobody had a finish. They were just going out there and not fighting for that contract. Joe Pyfer showed everyone how to get a contract and showed how to be in Dana White's favor, because Dana White loves this kid.
Right. So you want to hear something funny? It says how a lot about how good Joe Pyfer is, the fact that he's coming in as a minus 195 against Gerald Meershaert. The only person that has ever like completely outclassed Gerald Meershaert and made it like he didn't belong in the ring with him is, guess what, guys? Khamzat Chimaev. That's when he knocked him out with one punch alongside the cage, right? I'm here to tell you right now, Joe Pyfer versus Gerald Meershaert is the first fight on the card where it makes me think. It makes me think just a little bit. Is this the fight where the rookie gets checked? Is this the fight where the old scrappy veteran, sends back the hype job? Is this the fight? But then you have to ask yourself, would Dana White, as much as he loves him, with Sean Shelby, as much as they love this guy, would they give him Gerald Meershaert, right, if they didn't think he could beat Gerald Meershaert? Because the thing that it keeps coming up to me is, I'm having a hard time seeing where Gerald Meershaert, unless he has top control, and unless he, Joe Pyfer comes in just absolutely fatigued and looks bad, I'm struggling to figure out where Meerschaert is going to beat him. He can't beat him on the feet. Joe Pyfer can knock him out on the feet.
He will.
The only way I can see, and once again, I love this fight. I think this goes one of two ways. The only possible way I can see Gerald winning is if Joe Pyfer comes in too overly aggressive and Meerschaert, gets him in like a guillotine choke. Because that's the only thing I saw out of Meerschaert where it's like, yo, like, okay, like submission game, pretty good. Besides that, I watched Pyfer and I know he only had one fight. I know he only had 3 minutes of octagon time, but he looked damn good. Like when I saw that fight, I was like, okay, this guy, the word I would use to describe it is he just stalks his prey. And I watched Gerald.
And he's explosive.
I watched
explosive athlete.
And I watched Gerald Meerschaert, and it was the same exact thing. Meerschaert was the guy getting stalked. So I look at this. Okay, if Meerschaert's the guy getting stalked, if Pyfer's the guy that's doing the stalking, I think Pyfer's just gonna sleep him, right? So I'm gonna try to make a prediction here. I'm gonna try to do what Malik did. I think it's gonna be Pyfer's gonna, because I saw Meerschaert got hit with this. Pyfer's going to fake the uppercut right overhand, and I think Meerschaert's just going to go down. I think Pyfer's going to finish him. So my favorite play, I love him, just money line. I don't see a world like Malik was talking about. Meerschaert would have to get a lucky submission, but Pyfer's too technical.
I don't think it's a lucky submission though. I'm not here to I'm not going to disrespect Gerald Meerschaert. Gerald Meerschaert is great. Yeah. Like he's good. Like he's really damn good. And I think that if I was to pick another underdog, maybe I will have another underdog play on this card, but if I was to pick another one of any of the upcoming fights, we already picked Steve Garcia. This might be that spot. I could see a scenario in which Gerald Meerschaert ends the hype. I could see it. Because guess what? What happens if you go past the first round and you get into those deep waters, the middle of the second round with a guy like Gerald Meerschaert? Is he going to sink this kid? Is he going to? Now, I understand that every moment that they're standing up, Meerschaert is in trouble. But Ted, let me ask you this question. If Meerschaert gets it to the ground, who you trusting?
I think Joe Pyfer's grappling just hasn't been on display yet.
Yes.
And it's just being badly disrespected.
Yeah.
This guy just fought on Fury Grapple. If you guys know, it's like a submission grappling league. He absolutely worked Eric Anders. And I know Eric Anders, you're not thinking that Eric Anders is an elite grappler. Neither is Gerald Meerschaert. Gerald Meerschaert is a BJJ practitioner who doesn't typically get his submissions off his back.
Right.
I think I see this fight a lot differently than everyone else. Meerschaert fights Khamzat Chimaev. He gets knocked out because he comes in waiting for a takedown, expecting the takedown. His hands are too low. Yeah. He gets caught up against the fence. This fight, Meerschaert is going to come out there too high guard, expecting the strikes. Backs up, as you said. Joe Pyfer stalks him. Joe Pyfer's going to take him down and beat him in. We're acting like Gerald Meerschaert is Charles Oliveira.
No, I don't think we're acting like that. I think, but we are giving respect to the.
And I don't mean just you two. I mean like the community.
No, I don't even think I am. I'm just saying, you and me both have this rule in our rule of thumb that we always go by. When it comes to a rookie guy making his UFC debut, we're always slow, to just immediately go for him. And
I've seen enough from this guy. I've seen it. Listen,
I'm playing devil's advocate here. I think Joe Pyfer wins the fight. Don't get me wrong, but I'm playing devil's advocate because there are Meerschaert supporters out there that say, well, we all can't get on here and just say, okay, Meerschaert's going to win just because Joe Pyfer's just this phenom, right? This young phenom. We have to give people the reason why. But if people want to know an avenue for a Meerschaert victory, that's the only thing I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give people an avenue for a Meerschaert victory. And what does that look like for them? What does that look like for him?
Yeah, I would take a submission. I think his path to victory is, like you said, he would have to drag it into deep waters and he would have to catch him in a submission. And then, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Definitely not.
My only thing, I just think he telegraphs too much, which is why I don't think Meerschaert, is going to get it to have top control for a long time. If he does, he can definitely find a submission.
I got something sharp.
Let's hear it.
If you think Meerschaert can have success in this fight, over 1.5 rounds plus 110 on the Betfred Sportsbook app. He doesn't have to win. He has to not get finished for 7 minutes.
You see, that's why Teddy's here, because Teddy always finds those plays. He's a scrappy lunch pill type of guy when it comes to betting, right? He just finds his guy, finds his bets that he likes.
I actually think I love that. I actually think, especially because tomorrow we'll get the line for Pyfer KO. So if you don't think it, you can sprinkle both at plus money. Yeah. Pyfer KO If you're all in on Pyfer, go Pyfer KO or under 1.5 because he does his work fast.
Mhm.
If you think Meershaert survives,
Then it's
over
gonna go a lot longer.
Yeah.
Those are sharp plays, and you can take your side on that.
So who are we going with, boys?
I'm Pyfer.
Yeah, I'm taking Pyfer.
I'm taking Ted's play over 1.5 rounds.
I think I'm going to play that too. Pyfer, however, I will, as we said, Bahamondes is a parlay piece. Pyfer is not a parlay piece.
Correct.
That could be the one where Meershaert ruins your night.
Yes.
So that's a straight play only for me, for sure.
Right. So you guys heard it first. Joe Pyfer is not a parlay piece. He's not a parlay piece. He's a guy that if you're going to bet, you're going to single play him, or you're going to bet him to get the TKO finisher, even submission potentially, but TKO finish probably. Let's keep it moving on up the card. Michelle Waterson is taking on Luana Pinheiro. Ted, I know you like this fight. We talked about it a little bit already.
Yeah.
So Ted, I'm gonna let you kick this one off for us.
I mean, Luana Pinheiro is like super, super duper skilled. A very good grappler. Very like I think the problem is gonna be she's gonna be so much stronger than Michelle Waterson. The thing I don't like is the experience factor for Michelle Waterson. Luana Pinheiro has not fought the people Michelle Waterson has fought. Michelle Waterson has fought champions. I want to bet Luana Pinheiro money line so bad, but I think I leave. I haven't done the research. I'll be honest. I think I leave this one alone. But Luana Pinheiro is the pick for sure.
See, like the only real analysis I would provide is just the fact that like I've seen a lot of fighters. Yes, young fighters can come up and defeat a girl or opponent that's experienced but has lost their past couple fights. But Waterson's gone up with some absolute dogs, like absolute dogs. So if I definitely wouldn't bet this, I'm gonna pick Waterson to win. But I definitely wouldn't bet this.
The other thing with Waterson is like we always say, styles make fights. Very unique style for women's MMA. She fights like Wonder Boy, like it's karate, point fighting almost strictly. And that can be really unorthodox for a grappler that doesn't train with karate kickboxers. So I don't know. Malik, you have anything?
I hate this fight. I'm just being honest. I hate this fight.
Yeah, it's not
every step of the way. Michelle Waterson's going to be winning until she loses. That's the way I see it. She's going to be winning until she loses, and then when she loses, it's going to be quick, and it's going to be one of those things you're like, God damn, how that happened? We don't really have the graph up right now, but I'll tell you guys this: Luana Pinheiro is a -175 favorite to Michelle Waterson, being the underdog at +145. I wouldn't bet it personally. That's just me. I just wouldn't do that. But if you were to pick any play in this fight, I would take Luana Pinheiro to win this fight outright at the money line.
What is the odds? I literally didn't touch this fight.
-1. Luana Pinheiro is a -175 favorite.
Oh, that's playable.
Yeah,
that's playable. I don't hate that.
Not a parlay.
I will always admit when there's a fight I didn't do the research on. I'll just admit. This one was not a play for me.
Yeah.
Oh, appreciate. We got some people saying in the comment section, MMA Joey sent me. Appreciate you, MMA Joey. Love. Really do appreciate.
I know
you.
I got my buddy Corey watching. I'll shout you out real quick because you gave me that Jaqualine play. So thank you, my boy.
Appreciate you guys so much. Appreciate you guys. A lot of people coming in here from MMA Joey, but greatly appreciate you guys as well. We're gonna keep this rolling for all the fights on this card. So we all think we all like Luana Pinheiro, except for Daniel, who likes Michelle Waterson.
Yeah, I would take Waterson, but I'm the same. Like, I don't have a side that I absolutely like. Like, Waterson's gonna win, in my opinion.
All right, so me and Ted. Okay, this is the part of the show, right? Me and Ted have agreed on every single fight. That is uncharacteristic. It's not something that happens quite often. Again, shout out to MMA Joe. We appreciate you, man. Thank you for getting all the people in the chat, man. Appreciate you, brother. We've got Chris Curtis taking on Kelvin Gastelum. Chris Curtis taking on Kelvin Gastelum, and right now, if you look at the odds, I'm pulling it up right now as we speak.
Gastelum, I think, is -130.
Yes, Gastelum is -125 on Betfred, and Chris Curtis is
lines are moving
105. Yeah, so it's basically when we first made this, it was Kelvin Gastelum was -130, Chris Curtis was +110,
and it opened opposite for the record. The bets when these lines first opened, Chris Curtis was favored and Gastelum was a slight underdog. So the movement on this and the money coming on this is crazy.
Yeah. So I got to ask you, Ted, I know you got a strong play for this. Who you got?
First and foremost, Chris Curtis, a friend of the show, follower on social media, guy I've gotten to talk to before, really good guy, really great fighter. Styles make fights. Styles make fights. This is a guy that wins by knockout. This is in Chris Curtis. This is a guy that is low output, making reads throughout the fight, losing the fight on the cards until he gets the knockout. Every single time. Every single time. I've watched this guy's whole career. PFL, XMM, name a professional league. He's been in it. I've watched him fight it. He's from Cincinnati. I'm a huge fan of Chris, the Action Man Curtis. I've made lots of money on Chris Curtis. Malik can attest to that.
Yes.
We were in a room with lots of MMA fans. I was the only one with money on Chris Curtis to beat Phil Haas. He did that. Styles make fights. Kelvin Gastelum has fought high volume finishers and not been finished. That's Robert Whittaker. That's Israel Adesanya. That's Jared Cannonier. Nobody finished him. And those are high volume knockout strikers. This is a low volume guy in Chris Curtis that's not going to do enough to win on the scorecards and is only going to have 3 rounds to get that knockout that he's not going to get. Kelvin Gastelum is not as good as a fighter as he was when he fought Israel Adesanya, but his chin has not faded. He has not even been like badly hurt in these fights. He's eaten head kicks from Robert Whittaker. I do think Curtis will chip away at his body. It will be a very, very close fight. Very close. But the output will win. Kelvin Gastelum is more well-rounded. He's gotten the wrestling going in his fights recently. People forget he's a wrestler, like collegiate wrestler. And I know Chris Curtis has that beautiful 100% takedown that never lasts forever. John Jones doesn't have 100% takedown defense. Chris Curtis won't have 100% takedown defense for his career. Kelvin Gastelum minus 130. I hate to do it to my boy, but Malik, you know, we do not bet on our emotions or our friendships or anything. And I think you're going to see this the other way, but I have to lock in Kelvin Gastelum minus 130.
Daniel.
Yeah. I mean, see, I hate you sent the text this morning. I hate that you went with Gastelum today because I was like, I wanted this. I like Gastelum in this too. I really do. When I went back and rewatched these guys, I looked at it. Gastelum, the biggest thing for me, the past people he's fought have always been bigger, not bigger than him, but he's small for the division, right?
Oh, super small.
So when I look at him, I'm like, okay, you look at his log, red, loss. But who has he fought? Chris Curtis, to me, I haven't been as big of a fan because he's got those finishes, but it's been late in the fight. And I went back and rewatched. He's losing the fight before that. So I can understand, yes, he's got the knockout power to finish, but Gastelum hasn't gotten finished. He doesn't get finished. And on Betfred right now, the over is minus 220 for over 2.5 rounds. So for me, this fight's going to go the distance. It's a 3-round fight. I don't think Chris Curtis is going to get finished either. I think Chris Curtis is too good on the feet. His wrestling, I don't think that Gastelum's going to be able to ground and pound or get him in a submission. So I'm just going to take Gastelum money line. I think the odds are too good for Gastelum here. I just don't think Chris Curtis knocks him out. I don't.
And so just so we clarify, you guys are picking him because you don't think that Chris Curtis can knock him out, obviously, because Kelvin Gastelum hasn't been, his chin is like concrete. He hasn't been knocked out, right?
I don't think he knocks him out, and I know he doesn't beat him on the scorecard.
Okay. So just so you guys know, the people that are out here watching us right now, we are live from Cincinnati, Ohio. We are live from Cincinnati, Ohio in the First Star Logistics studio. Again, the show is presented to you by First Star Logistics and sponsored by Betfred. Appreciate everybody for supporting. But let me give you guys a little dose of reality real quick. I do think Chris Curtis stops him. But it's not going to be with strikes to the head. It's going to be strikes to the body because Chris Curtis has beautiful body work. I don't think that Kelvin Gastelum is the same fighter that he used to be. I think those wars that he was in took miles off of him. Chris Curtis, this is going to be the fight that puts people on notice. Like Chris Curtis, I do think Kelvin Gastelum is going to try to incorporate the wrestling, but I think it's going to be too little too late. I think he's going to hurt him to the body. I think Kelvin Gastelum is going to try to go for a takedown. Chris Curtis in that 100% wrestling defense is going to show up. He's going to be able to push him off, get him up against the cage and just work that body. And I think it's going to be a finish. I do think it's going to be a finish. I do think it's going to be competitive for the first feeler out of the fight, if you will. So I'm telling you guys right now, Chris Curtis is going to win this fight due to beautiful body work. But if he isn't able to get it done, I do agree with Ted. I do agree with Daniel. This would be old-fashioned Kelvin Gastelum win. But this is the first time we are disagreeing here. I think Chris Curtis beats the body of Kelvin Gastelum up. I think Kelvin Gastelum, when's the last time Kelvin's fought? Two. He's had cancellation after cancellation after cancellation.
I think he's had 3 straight canceled fights.
You know, so like for me, that inactivity, how is that going to play a role into it as well? And what type of fighter are we getting? I think Chris Curtis puts everybody on notice with beautiful body work, and he stops Kelvin Gastelum. That's my official play. Another underdog play, going with Stevie Garcia at plus 160, and I'm going with Chris Curtis at plus 105. And hopefully, I'm praying that those lines get jacked up a little bit more, so that way I can get Chris Curtis at like plus 150. I hope that we get him. I'm able to get him at plus 150. And Twizzy Rich, I agree with you, brother. You said he needs the check 100%, man. He needs the check at this point. So I think Kelvin Gastelum he needs the fight. But Chris Curtis, I just think this is a bad matchup for Kelvin Gastelum too. If I mean,
like I feel the opposite.
We agree. Like,
opposite.
Listen, man, I just think that body's going to be there for the taking, man. I'm calling Chris Curtis. I'm changing his name from Action Man this week to the Body Snatcher, because I think he's going to snatch his body this fight. I really do, man. And I feel really, really confident. And hopefully Chris Curtis knows that, guess what? Hitting Kelvin Gastelum up top ain't going to work for you if you're trying to knock him out up top, especially with the low volume. But I do think if he is able to put those combos together and slow him down, he's going to make it work. And we know when Chris Curtis gets in on the pocket, man, he does damage. So I'm going with Action Man Curtis to stop Kelvin Gastelum with body blows this weekend. I want to keep the conversation rolling, and now we are getting to the main card. Let's go. Sir. I'm pumped up about it. Let's go.
We got this belt right here.
We got the championship belt here and all that good stuff. It's looking all good. Maybe me and Ted will fight later for it or something like that. We got Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Christian Rodriguez. I have a play for this fight. Ted, I'm going to kick this one off with you, though.
I don't care what the odds are. When submission pops up tomorrow, you take Raul Rojas submission.
Yeah.
And that's your fattest play of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever your nuke is, 5 units, 7, whatever that is for you, nuke this.
Yeah.
And put money line in a parlay.
Yeah. Right.
I think money line's minus 245. But honestly, submission might not even be plus money. If it's minus 105, you still nuke it. You nuke it.
Yeah. And just for people who are, like, all right, who are these guys? Like Christian Rodriguez.
Good fighter, by the way. Good fighter.
Good fighter.
Yes. Raul Rojas is a future champion, probably before 24.
Like, this would be a different, fight if, maybe Christian Rodriguez was like a veteran. He's a young guy too. He's a young prospect. I think only 2 fights in the UFC. So Raul Rosas, once again, the UFC smart. They understand what they're doing. This guy is, the guy that Dana White just won on Dana White Contender Series. Dana White's trying to push him. Raul's not losing this fight.
They almost messed up with Paddy Pimblett. They're not going to do that to their other guys.
Right.
That was...
Raul Rosas Jr. is going to win this fight going away. He's going to win this fight. He's going to take him down to the ground. He's going to submit him. I do think if the fight was to stand on the feet, Christian Rodriguez would have a legit chance, but
dude, Rojas has some unorthodox strikes.
He does. It does. It's weird. It's weird.
And when you're just trying not to get taken down, you can get clipped by a weird jumping spin back kick.
Oh, no, I'm agreeing. I just don't think on the floor he has any chance. So that's why I'm saying he has a chance on the feet. So Raul Rosas Jr. is the play for this card. Minus 245. We all agree. Hammer it. Or as Ted said, when the submission props come out, you know what to bet.
Yeah.
You take Raul Rosas Jr., bud. That's what you do.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep it rolling. I feel like we're kind of going through this pretty quickly, but I love it. Yeah. We're 43 minutes in.
We're going to spend some time on these.
Kevin Holland versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. Let me just tell you guys a little story. Going into this fight, I was very, very confident Kevin Holland was going to win this fight. Why? Because Santiago Ponzinibbio got stung his last fight. He seemed like he gets stung in all these different wars that he's in. But you've got to wonder where Kevin Holland's head is at now. The IQ, right? Well, I mean, I don't know if he's ever been like lauded for his fight IQ, but to me, he had an easier path to victory against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. But he wanted to get into a karate style fight, an exciting fight for the fans. So for me, I just look at it. I do think Kevin Holland is going to hurt Ponzinibbio. But did you see what was happening this week? That's the one that we do on the show, man. We talk about everything, not just the fight. We talk about the intricacies and things that happen. Him and Jorge Masvidal are getting into an altercation inside the Fighter Hotel. Like, to me, both of those guys, where are your guys' heads at? Why are you guys getting into a back and forth about whatever? Are you guys going to fight next? Is that the next fight?
Felt a little staged, though, no?
Felt a little weird.
Yeah.
Is that the next fight?
No.
No, I mean, no. What sense does it make, right?
George Masvidal doesn't have a next fight, but we'll get to that.
So, I mean, keeping the conversation rolling, man, I just think that Kevin Holland, I had Kevin Holland winning this fight. I really, really did. And now I'm torn. Now I'm really, really torn, man. I think Ponzinibbio gets into these wars, man. I think he gets into these wars that get him in trouble every now and again. I'm going to give my play. But before I give my play, Ted, give your play.
I've said a lot of people are parlay pieces. If you've kept track, here it is. We got Raul Rosas.
Yes.
Ignacio Bahamondes.
Yes.
Kevin Holland.
Yes.
Plus 150 on the Betfred Sportsbook app.
Yep.
That's it. I'm not even going to get into this. You could finish him on the ground. You could finish him with strikes. I do like Kevin Holland to finish, but that's a pick 'em for me. Santiago Ponzinibbio was getting clipped by what's his name? Alex, the bald dude. You know that bald dude that's way too fat to be a 170 pounder. Yeah. And I'm not like, am I wrong?
Yeah.
Dude's built crazy. And he was absolutely flooring Santiago Ponzinibbio.
Yeah.
Kevin Holland, also, if you follow Kevin Holland on social media, yeah, he's always going to do the weird stuff where he's coming at Chiesa and he's coming at Masvidal. But the fight with Wonder Boy, he was going in for fun, and you saw that it was
a main event fight.
He's coming in this fight to win. Malik is the rebound whisperer. I think in my betting career, I've actually been a Kevin Holland whisperer. When he was on that run and he started getting on that losing streak, I knew he was going to lose all those fights because styles make fights. So does age.
Yeah.
So what is Santiago Ponzinibbio doing when Kevin Holland is training every weekend? He's calling the fights in Spanish and getting knocked out by Alex Morono. I think minus 245 is a good. I think it could be worse than that.
Yeah.
I think this would get to minus 350.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah. I thought so too. I just, for me, I'm always trying to play devil's advocate, but initially, me and Ted, we love this MMA thing. Same as Danny. We watch every single card. I'm picking Kevin Holland. That is my pick.
And Santiago Ponzinibbio right now is easy to play devil's advocate on because he won that fight I'm referring to.
Yeah.
With Alex Morono. Yeah, right. He got knocked out 3 times and won.
Yeah. And you just wonder if Kevin Holland's flirted with retirement and stuff like you just wonder.
Yeah.
You wonder those things. Those things kind of make you things that make you go,
Also,
so
just also to add, to devil's advocate, he broke his hand and that fight was in December. Like a broken hand, I'm pretty sure he broke it in 3 different spots. That's 3-4 months ago. Like rehab, that takes a couple months. There's definitely going to be questions, okay, how healthy is he? He wouldn't take this fight if he's not healthy, obviously. And I'm taking Kevin Holland. The only thing, I watched Santiago and he faced Alex Morono. Morono was like a punching bag, wasn't moving. And
to his credit, though, Morono took that fight on short notice too. Very short notice.
Completely. The point I'm trying to make is he looked like it was a back and forth fight. And that was with Morono standing still. Holland's a movement, he's moving all over the place. I don't think that I'm taking Holland in this fight.
I honestly think he probably submits him.
Yeah. I think Holland hurts him bad on the feet.
Yeah.
I think he hurts him bad on the feet. And I think I see one of those things.
And I think it'll be easier for him to put him out with the submission. We saw it was pretty hard to put him out, even if you drop him 4 times. So
100%.
Yeah.
Keeping the conversation rolling. So we all took Kevin Holland here. Whoo, this is a banger. Let me just say, this is a banger of a fight. Rob Font taking on Adrian Yanez. Man, I'm so torn into this fight, but I'm going with my guy, Adrian Yanez. I'm going with Adrian to win this fight, man. I think Rob Font is every bit of tough. Rob Font could 100% beat Adrian Yanez here, but I'm going with the younger fighter. I'm going with the fighter that I think really has huge upside. His boxing is crisp. I think he might have one of the best. I think we might just say a beautiful display of boxing back and forth between these guys. And I don't know. I just like Adrian Yanez in this fight. Our guy Twizzy Rich said Yanez by 2nd round KO. Man, I just think we could see
Yanez is very good in the 2nd round.
Very good.
Yeah.
There was that one dude that was working him. What was that dude's name that was working him?
I'm going to talk about it. We'll get there.
Yeah, but I like Adrian Yanez in this fight. That's my guy. The guy always, he's a gamer. He shows up, man. He shows up. Weren't they calling him at one point mini Jorge Masvidal? They were like, oh, he's like Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah.
But I think he's better than than Jorge Masvidal is. But Daniel, what are your thoughts before we get to Ted?
I hate to, sound like I'm always going with the favorite, but I'm taking Yanez in this one. I look at these guys. Yanez he's just too fast. Right. And looking at Font, okay, what's Font's actual path to victory? Beautiful jab, crisp boxing. That's his path to victory. He got killed by Marlon Vera. He got knocked down a couple times by Jose Aldo. Giannis is just too fast for him. I just don't see that Giannis. I think Giannis is way too fast for Font.
Rob Font is much faster.
I
than
disagree.
Adrian Yanez.
I disagree.
Look at their significant strikes landed per minute. I mean, it's statistical. He's much faster. Adrian Yanez is a good boxer. Rob Font is a much, much better boxer. Adrian Yanez has power in his hands, so it's pretty.
So what are your thoughts?
The speed will show.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I saw Font.
This has fight of the night written all over it.
Completely. I think this goes 3 rounds.
No.
I think
if you think Adrian Yanez wins, you shouldn't be saying it goes 3 rounds because Rob Font is never losing.
I'm telling you guys right now, Adrian Yanez is going to stop Rob Font. Just putting it out there.
If you're taking Adrian Yanez, there's no point to take the money line.
Adrian Yanez is going to stop Rob Font in the second round. He's going to stop Rob Font in the second round. And regardless if it's an early stoppage or whatever the case may be, but I'm not going to sit up here and act like Rob Font is 100% a gamer. Completely. He's 100% a gamer. It's the toughest fight in Adrian Yanez's career.
Yes.
But this is one of the fights that is going to propel Adrian Yanez forward.
And this is his test. This is his test, right? Rob Font's a guy. He's gone up against the best guys in the division.
Couldn't put out Cody Garbrandt, who is, yeah.
And I just look at this fight. I don't know. I'm curious to hear what you have to say, like how Rob Font's gonna win. I looked at Giannis, too much power in his hands.
Power, yeah, not speed.
He's got speed too. You can't say he doesn't have speed.
I can say he's not as fast as Rob Font with his hands.
It's not a wide margin.
But Daniel, it's fine because guess what? It's what everything that Ted's saying is right. And I think you're misplacing sort of what you're saying. Like, hear me out. Font, yes, I agree in the comment section. Font's chin is 100% questionable at this point. And I'm just going to tell you guys right now, Adrian Yanez is not faster than Rob Font, but Adrian Yanez 100% has more power than Rob Font.
Yeah,
no, Adrian Yanez,
everyone on the roster down to 120, down to 115 has more power than Rob Font.
Right. Okay. So
I don't disagree with that.
And I'm not saying you are. I'm pretty much articulating sort of what Daniel is trying to get at. And what I'm trying to get at, and I'm saying Adrian Yanez when he hits Rob Font, you're going to see a significant difference from when Rob Font hits him. That's what you're going to see. And the fact of the matter is, Adrian Yanez needs a 3-punch combo to really do significant damage to, as opposed to Rob Font may need 20 punches in a row to really, really do significant damage to an Adrian Yanez. My fear is, will we get the Adrian Yanez that was a slow starter against Randy Costa? Or will we get our Adrian, or will we get an Adrian Yanez that's going to show up and be a gamer from the start of the belt? Because if that Adrian Yanez shows up, he's going to stop Rob Font. He's going to stop Rob Font.
So let me just say, I definitely misspoke.
Yeah.
When I watched this fight, it was probably I got too caught up in the combos. Crisp.
His combos are crisp.
And I would probably say it's quick combos. Rob Font's a faster striker than him. So
he's a better boxer too. Power is just pretty.
Yes.
Listen, I love the passion from both of you guys. I love the energy. I'm just going to break this one down stylistically a bit,
you can,
rather than just scream knockout. That's all.
You can try.
So you brought up the Randy Costa thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch the first round of that fight?
Come on, Ted. Of course I watched the fight.
Okay.
Let's not be facetious.
So how did Randy Costa win that round? Do you agree he won that first round?
100%.
Badly, by a wide margin.
By a wide margin. It looked like he was about to stop him.
Was it because he was extremely high volume?
He had more volume than he had way more volume than Adrian Yanez. He hit him with different angles. The guy just seemed confused in there. It seemed like he was just too fast for him.
Do you know who is the highest volume striker in the bantamweight division?
We know.
Rob Font.
Yes.
Okay. So here's the thing. Adrian Yanez knocks guys out that are not throwing punches. He is not a counter striker. In fact, most of his knockouts come by the first 2 punches, break down the guy's guard. He beats defensive. Rob Font will have a jab in this kid's face for 15 minutes. He will throw 350 strikes. There is no time for Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez will wait and wait and wait until that jab is not in his face. He is not a counter striker. None of his knockouts are slip, right hook. That's not the better boxer here is Rob Font.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a close fight. I'm not saying it's going to be, but plus 150
is disrespectful
on the more experienced, better boxer. You're fading his chin. I'm not saying you two. But most of the people in the comments, most of the bettors that got this line where it is, are fading Rob Font's chin.
Yeah.
The thing is, he's winning those fights before that, and he's actually not really even getting put. We all act like Cheeto knocked him out.
Right.
He
didn't.
didn't.
Yeah.
No. He just did a lot of damage.
And here's the thing that hurts Rob Font. He's never really been hurt by a right hook. It's a hook kick or some unorthodox strike, or like I said, a counter strike, because Rob Font is going to count. That jab is going to be in your face. And if you can time that, but that's not Adrian Yanez's game. Adrian Yanez is walk you down until you're in a defensive position, and then I blast that 4-piece combo. And if that happens, yeah, Rob Font's going to get dropped. And if you're going to bet on Adrian Yanez, wait for that KO line and take that KO line. But I am telling you guys, Rob Font at plus 150, as far like, if you know anything about sports betting, that is such good value. Such good value. I can't not play that. And I don't do it with 100% confidence, but I would never take Adrian Yanez money line. If you are the biggest piece of advice I can give to you, and there's going to be a similar fight later where I'm going to say the same thing. If you're going to take this guy, take his knockout, not his money line.
Right.
Because if you're saying he's going to win, you're saying he's going to knock him out. But I implore you, if you're going to bet on this, bet on Rob Font at plus 150, because you're not going to get Rob Font at plus 150 against some unranked kid that's never fought in the top 15 before again. This is your one opportunity.
Right. Do you see a way in which Adrian Yanez wins this fight? Do you actually?
Yeah, I'm saying he can knock him out.
Yeah. I
just don't think Yanez is the style of fighter that hurts Rob Font, like a Cheeto Vera, like Jose Aldo is maybe the best counter striker
ever.
The bantamweight. And that's not what we've seen. Adrian Yanez is a walk you down and throw missiles.
Right.
Which, that can win you a fight, a puncher's chance. He does have that. The value here is on Font.
I agree with you on that. Yeah. So who are we all going with? You never gave.
I'm going Rob Font.
Rob Font?
Yeah, that's an official play for me.
Okay.
I'm going Yanez.
I'm going check out my play on the TWSN Patreon for that.
Like it.
Want to keep the conversation rolling. Jorge Masvidal is taking on Gilbert Burns in this fight. Let me just start by saying this step before we get into everything. I want to set the stage for this.
Yeah.
I really thought this could be Jorge Masvidal's reawakening fight. I really thought that Jorge Masvidal was going to be able to come back in this fight, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I didn't like the way he looked. Even in I know he hasn't even stepped on the scale yet, but the pictures that he just looks like he hasn't been training.
He's all but retired. He's literally
his mentality seems to be, like he said, if I don't win this one, it's done. It seems like he's more into his game bred fighting promotion thing.
Well, let me ask you something before you get into it. What would you say was the downfall of Conor McGregor? Or let me give you, would you say it was that he became a very successful businessman, maybe left the sport?
I think he just focused on, well, that's a loaded question. There's a lot of reasons with Conor McGregor.
Are you seeing a similar path for Conor McGregor and George Masvidal? George Masvidal goes and does WWE stuff. He has all these business ventures. He has alcohols. He has icon.
He's not dedicated to the sport of MMA. And he's got legal troubles with Call the Cops.
Stars go on the down.
And he's got legal troubles with Call the Cops.
Yeah.
Colby Covington. So, the way I see it is, I think Gilbert Burns wins this fight. I just don't know the fashion in which Gilbert wins. The line is juice. Minus
no
470
here. There's no bet here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's no bet here.
I think that Gilbert Burns wins this fight. I really would have liked to see a more dedicated Jorge Masvidal. It seems like he's just getting in there just to get in there. Jorge Masvidal strikes me as the guy that starts training when the fight gets announced. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like he's dedicated to the sport.
Well, I mean, he's literally like putting on good fight cards. I don't know if you guys I know me and Daniel were talking about. He just basically Dana Whited a card of Jose Aldo versus Chad Mendez, Jacare. Like these are legit. It takes a lot of time, man.
Right.
And one thing to just add about that, you can definitely tell, and it's something crazy, like on the rise to the top versus not on the downfall, but
he was a savage on
he
the rise
was. And that's the sad part. Like, I mean, not the sad part. He's putting more of his effort into different places.
Can I just say this though? What? How cool would it be? How cool would it be to see Jorge Masvidal beats Gilbert Burns?
And if you think
And then
that,
Leon Edwards calls for that fight and says he's finally got a victory.
That would kind of piss me off.
I know it would piss you off, but it would sell. It would sell. It would sell.
Dana, I'm streaming that. I'm not buying that. I'm not. I've bought a couple of George Masvidal's pay-per-views. They were not worth my money.
oh yeah. So if you like Masvidal plus 700 KO, but the way I
No,
see
I'm
this
good.
fight, yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you're one of those guys at home that's like Masvidal's getting it done, I mean, throw $5 on that
Plus 700.
Yeah.
And I just look at this fight. He's putting too much of his time. I'm saying it takes a lot of time, to do your promotion. He's doing all these interviews before this fight. It's in his hometown. I think Gilbert Burns is going to win this fight.
But it's in Gilbert's hometown in a sense too, right? Gilbert's from Florida too now. Well, he's from Brazil, but he trains and lives in Florida. I mean, this sucks. I don't believe it. If a guy says, "Hey, I'm retiring before the fight," or "I'm retiring if I can't win this fight," I'm always picking against that guy.
There's two rules. And
Why are you planning not to win the fight?
Yeah.
This game is mental, man. You can't be planning not to win the fight.
All right.
Yeah, it's such a mental game. And there's two things I've learned. Always take the wrestler. And if a guy is...
Yes, I agree, Chase.
What he said.
He said Masvidal has a chance because Burns is the type of guy that likes to get into these firefights. That is one of Burns's... Okay, I'm just saying, Jorge Masvidal is the last guy that you want to get into a trading strike. If Gilbert's smart and if Gilbert's actually committed to winning a championship, listen, Gilbert can knock out Masvidal. Let's start by saying that. But if I'm Gilbert Burns... To make it easy on myself, to make it look pretty, to make it like UFC, I deserve a championship fight, go out there, slip a Masvidal shot, take him down, submit him, call it a day. That's what you do. That's what you do. You do not box with Jorge Masvidal because Masvidal for a long time,
Almost got
Colby. And I think the longer this fight goes, I think he can catch Gilbert. I think he can catch Gilbert.
Here's the thing.
Gilbert
First of all, Chase, very educated MMA fan.
Yeah,
so I'm not saying this about him. Thank you for tuning in. But I see a lot of people saying that, and I think it's because they just watched the Hamzat fight. Here's the thing. Burns would have been so dumb to take down Hamzat.
Mm-hmm.
He will try to take down Jorge.
He better.
So he's not just going to commit to you can't just, and I'm not saying Chase is doing this, but the people out there, they're like,
well, I just
look at Hamzat.
Well, hear me out. Masvidal is so good at getting in your head. He's so, we can all agree.
Yep.
He's really good at, Usman said he had him shook the first
Yeah.
fight. He said he was scared. He said he was genuinely, Usman said Masvidal, it's funny not thinking about it. He was like, I want to thank my man Jorge because of Jorge, I had to, take my game to a next level. I'm like, Jorge Masvidal made you take your game to the next level.
I think that's one we should have known.
Yeah, come on. But in all seriousness, though, I just think that, Jorge Masvidal is a weird fighter in the way of he can get in a guy like Gilbert Burns' head. Like he already been going back and forth. Oh, don't take me down. That's what's been saying since the fight was announced. All right, let's not go for takedown. Let's stand up and strike then. Let's stand up and strike. Let's be a man. Stand up and strike. And then will Gilbert play into that? Will Gilbert say, shoot, let me stand up. And I could see a scenario in which Gilbert does.
I see a scenario where Gilbert takes his head off, actually. Similar, I was talking about the Hamzat and Meershaert fight earlier, where you could tell Meershaert's hands were literally at his waist because he's just waiting for that. Masvidal has fought Usman, Covington, and now Burns. He might be seeing ghosts of trying to take him down. Yeah. He might come out there, only be worried about, and Burns has fire in his right hand. It almost happened to Usman. Yeah. Usman was worried about the takedown and got clocked by this guy. And Usman has a chin.
Burns clipped Hamzat too.
Hamzat too, yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think if anything, I also think Burns by decision too. The way I think this plays out one of two ways. It's either going to be a firefight, right? It's either going to be a firefight, and there it's 50.
I hope they stand up and just box, man.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
Do we all agree there's no bet here?
I would say, if anything, if you like Burns, I think you take the decision. The reason why I could see this going like the Wonder Boy route, right? He fought Wonder Boy, and that was a fight where Wonder Boy hands down the much better striker. And I looked at that fight. Everybody heading into that fight was, oh, Wonder Boy's going to whoop his butt. I even believed, okay, Wonder Boy is. Gilbert Burns laid on him. I could see Burns just wanting to get into the title picture, just takes him to the ground, beats him on the ground, and also Masvidal, I don't think will get submitted. I think he hasn't got submitted his entire UFC career, maybe once. So if anything,
I know that I can think of one time he got submitted. It was when he was in Bellator. He got submitted with a inverted triangle. If anybody remembers that fight, that was wild.
What, that was Masvidal?
Yeah. Pre UFC.
Yes, I remember that.
But yeah,
he went to sleep.
Yeah, I think there's too many options for Gilbert to win for me to say slap KO, slap decision, slap. Because I don't think there's a play here. If there was like plus 100 Masvidal to take his gloves off and retire after the fight, I'd hammer that. But
yeah,
I don't know what bookies have that for me.
Want to keep the conversation rolling. I think we all have Gilbert Burns winning this fight, but I would love to see a Masvidal upset, to be honest with you guys. I would love to see that because I just think Leon versus Masvidal would be freaking amazing to watch. But now, it's now time for the moment UFC fans around the world have been waiting for. Alex Pereira taking on Israel Adesanya for the UFC middleweight championship. And man, let me just tell you right now, I'm excited for this fight. I'm pumped up for this fight because this is a legacy fight for Izzy, man. This is a fight that could make or break him, man. We got the UFC belt here for the aesthetics, you know what I mean? I mean, it's looking good, man. It's looking good too. No, but in all seriousness, Ted, I gotta ask you. You're a big Izzy fan. You know what? I'm not gonna even do it to you. I'm gonna start off with Daniel. Tell us who you got, Daniel.
Yeah.
And why.
It seems like the public's all over Alex Pereira right now. I just have to go with what I've seen. I'm taking Alex to win this fight. I don't see, like, there is a chance that Israel obviously wins. He's an amazing fighter, and he hands down probably has won almost not every round that they've fought against each other, but almost every round. The best thing,
he actually lost the first kickboxing fight by decision.
Yeah. So the way I look at it is, I think that Pereira, the best way I can describe it is, it's like in the NFL, a team going against like a Patrick Mahomes, going up against a guy like Joe Burrow. You always know that they have it, right? In Israel Adesanya, it seems like in especially this past fight, he was winning the fight, fighting the fight to win the fight, right? Just to win by points.
Oh, dude, he almost knocked him out at the end of the first round. That's not fair.
Okay. He was obviously winning, but he always knows Alex has that great equalizer. And for me, I just look at it seems like Alex is in his head, Israel in his press conference, and I know shouldn't read too much into this, but he was like not giving away his game plan, but he started talking about wrestling. He's like, oh, I'll save that for the fight. He's going to try to go out and wrestle Alex Pereira. He's going to try to win the fight. And I just think Pereira's beat him 3 times before. And I can't see this going a full 5 rounds and Pereira not catching his chin again. So I'm going to take Alex to win this. He's my pick.
Ted.
I don't usually bet on Izzy. I probably will not bet on this. So let's just talk about what he needs to do to win, right? No,
yeah.
I mean, really.
No, I respect it. I love it.
Because, I don't bet on Izzy. That's superstition. He is my favorite fighter, all the above. It needs to, the narrative, that was Israel's best performance in years.
Yeah.
He was fighting his ass off. His leg got compromised in the 5th round. He lost his movement. He went away from the cage pushing, and he got caught and he got knocked out. That's what happened. So what adjustments can he make, right? Because, I like to look at everything stylistically. Izzy is bistantial, right? He can fight just as well from southpaw. I want him almost only in southpaw. Izzy has gotten away without leg kicking all these not top tier kickboxers in the UFC for years. It bit him last fight. His leg was compromised. He got the peroneal nerve. I'm sure you guys remember 5th round. He fell backwards, somersaulted backwards because he dropped foot in his right foot. So that can't happen. I want to see Israel at least switching stances, but maybe be primarily southpaw. Because one, you can then switch up how you're exiting. So because Izzy exited to that right hook way too much, especially up against the cage. So Izzy's path to victory: more boxing, less leg kicks. Stay away from the fence, right?
Yeah.
And do not exit to that right hook, because that's what caught him. That's what catches everybody. Here's the thing. I've watched him beat him for many of several fights. I cannot sit here and say Izzy's going to win this fight. I can say Izzy is the more well-rounded fighter. I can say honestly, if there were 30 more seconds in the first round, he knocks him out last fight. Does anyone disagree with that? No. So could that happen again? If you're going to bet on, all I'm going to tell you, this is a betting show. So you know what? If you're going to bet on this, wait for Alex Pereira KO. It's just like Adrian Yanez. Nobody's picking Alex to win on points. If you're picking Alex, which I know you two are, you're picking him to. Are you picking him to win by knockout?
Yeah.
So wait for that. Get him at even higher plus money. Yeah. This is where I get sad, you guys. I don't know. He can do it. Izzy can do it.
So my question for you is, can he fight? Because he fought, I think we can all agree, kind of almost a perfect fight. The first 4-something rounds, that as good as can he do that again?
If he fought, I'm telling you, if he fights that same fight and the leg thing doesn't happen, he does not get clipped. But it's Alex Pereira throws just as good of leg kicks and just as many as Izzy. It's his boogeyman. You see a lot of people have one in this sport, man. There's certain guys you just cannot beat. I will celebrate profusely if he does beat him. But I will sit there and clap for Alex. I'm a huge kickboxing fan. I'm a Glory kickboxing fan. I am an Alex Pereira fan. He's funny. He's a great fighter. He makes kickboxing look better. He has 8 fights in MMA and he's the champion. He beat the most dominant champion in the promotion. It makes Glory kickboxing look good. It makes a path for guys like Cedric Doumbé to come in and possibly get to that next level. I love Alex Pereira. He's just my favorite fighter. So it's hard for me to watch him lose. It might be hard for me to watch him lose again Saturday night. But here's the thing. The most important part is these fights are heaters. If you like striking matchups, this is going to be a great fight. It's going to go. I think the over on rounds is 4.5. Don't take that. But if you get alternate lines, over 3.5, Izzy's never just gotten clocked in in kickboxing. It's been like in the 8th round. Like Izzy's not going down bad early. So I think you can hit a round prop on 3.5 from a betting perspective. I think you can definitely get Pereira KO. But if you are an Izzy fan to the death of you, you're never going to get him minus 140 against anybody again, and never have. So that's not a bad line if you think he's going to get it done. Or that decision will probably be plus money. Malik, make me sad.
So it's time for story time. We all had that, or we've all played professional sport. I mean, not professional sport. We've all played sports growing up, whether that means basketball, tennis, baseball, football. We always have those teams or those people that just give us a hard time, or we have a hard time overcoming.
Like Daniel and you.
There was an interview that Alex Pereira did where he said he was so focused on kickboxing. He was focused on reigning there. And then he saw an interview with Israel Adesanya. And Israel Adesanya brought up the fact that there was a guy that beat me in kickboxing, and that's his claim to fame. He'll be somewhere in a favela, drunk somewhere, telling people, hey, I beat this guy back in the day. Alex Pereira said he saw that and it lit a fire under him, and it made him focus on MMA rather than kickboxing. He then informed the promotion that he'd be focusing on MMA, and he became his life's work, his life's mission to take everything that Israel Adesanya had. Israel Adesanya, make no mistake about it. People could feel bad for you. I don't. People could say, oh, Israel Adesanya, he worked so hard for this, and this guy followed him over here. Alex Pereira was never going to follow Israel Adesanya over here. Israel Adesanya, the one thing that I've always said, sometimes his mouth gets him in trouble, and I think that it almost got him in trouble with the whole John Jones thing when the UFC was thinking about making that into a fight at one point in time. His mouth got him in trouble here. He summoned his own boogeyman. He went in the mirror, turned off his lights, and said, Alex Pereira, 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 and boom, he shows up.
Did you guys see the Chris Curtis clip?
I did not.
It's interesting. It's really interesting. He says a lot of times in this sport, we create our own boogeyman, but with Israel, you can track you can track down the exact moment and
Mhm.
timeline that he created his own boogeyman.
The UFC would have never been interested in bringing this guy on until Adesanya brought him up. Adesanya.
I disagree with that.
No. Let's
a two-weight
talk
world
about it.
champion.
Let's understand something. Let's understand something for a second. This guy is 35 years old right now. He's older. He's older right now. His trajectory in the UFC. Maybe if the UFC was to bring him in, it would have been like, okay, let's bring this guy in to be like heavyweight or whatever the case may be. But make no mistake about it. Regardless of what people want to say or think or feel, he was brought in here to speak Israel Adesanya.
You mean he fought him in what?
So it may
fights?
Hold on, all right, let's just be
No,
hold on a second.
I agree.
So you gotta wonder. A part of me wonders: did Israel Adesanya want this to happen? Did Israel Adesanya want to avenge that loss against him? And I think he did.
Yep.
I think Israel Adesanya really thought in MMA he would be able to beat this guy. I think it's when they came face to face. Because if you remember, Israel Adesanya brought him up. The UFC signed him. The next thing you know, Israel Adesanya said, I'm not worried about him. I never checked his fights or anything like that. Then, and every one of Alex Pereira's victories that he had, few victories that he had in the UFC, he would be brought up. And then they started pairing him on the same card with Izzy. So you knew they were already angling for that, right? Adesanya, if you ask me, again, summoned his own boogeyman. Adesanya made this into a colossal thing, and now it's almost become his story. It's become his story. Israel Adesanya, make no mistake about it, has to beat Alex Pereira. He has to. But I'm here to tell you guys, he's not going to. And Alex Pereira did an interview where he said it beautifully. He said, there was a guy in amateurs that he couldn't beat. And he believes right now that if that guy was to come out of retirement, it doesn't matter how long he trained.
He's not retired. He is trying to actively get in the UFC and fight.
That guy.
Yeah. He's a jungle fever champion. He's a champion in Brazil, but he's also a welterweight. So I don't see how that could ever line up again. But yeah, that guy is trying to Pereira. It's pretty interesting. And he's very slick on the ground.
Right. So I have something to tell you guys. I think Alex Pereira is going to win this fight. I also don't think Israel Adesanya has come to grips. I don't think that Israel Adesanya has come to grips. And Thrill Faction and Fiction, we appreciate you supporting, but if you don't want to listen to me talk or ramble, you can see your way out, brothers. No problem. But anyway, the way I see it, man, is I genuinely think that Alex Pereira is going to win this fight because I don't think Israel Adesanya has come to terms that he lost and that this guy is just a mountain for him to climb. He's made every excuse up in the book as to why he lost. He's never once said that Alex Pereira is just the better guy. He really believes in his heart that he still can beat Alex Pereira. And even Alex Pereira said, at some point, you have to let it go. At some point, you have to see that I'm the better fighter. We can all agree that Israel Adesanya was winning that fight. Israel Adesanya was winning the fight before that in kickboxing. We can arguably say Israel Adesanya was winning every fight that they've had.
No, honestly, the first one he was losing. Alex Pereira did beat him the first.
Right. I'm talking about
I agree.
I think at some point it's one of those situations where you have to just call a spade, if you ask me. I think that
if he gets it this time, even I have to just.
I just think but in all seriousness, though, right? If you think about it, what more does Izzy have to do? He fought a perfect fight last time, and it goes back to the old saying. I forgot who said it. It might have been Connor. Or might have been somebody else. He has to be perfect. Israel Adesanya has to be perfect for
25 minutes. Alex has to be perfect.
Alex has to be perfect for 1 second.
Yeah.
For 1 second. And that's the way I see it.
He almost knocked him out. So I do think there's a little fiction there. Because if there are 30 seconds left in that first, so I don't think Izzy has to be. I think Izzy can hurt him and turn it.
I agree, but at what point, right? At what point does the boogeyman creep? What is that? At what point does those thoughts creep in your head? Like, crap, I was winning. It's almost like the Kamaru Usman thing. Kamaru Usman was winning against Leon. He was winning against Leon the second fight out.
No, he wasn't. Oh, second.
The second fight out, he was winning against Leon, and then boom,
yeah,
gets head kicked. At what point?
That's actually, we actually have to talk about that, because how similar could that be to this, where Usman won almost the whole fight, gets knocked out, and the next fight he's worse. He's the worst fighter.
Right.
And
But
what is the Teddy
that was in the
Atlas
back of the
quote?
head, though.
Teddy Atlas quote: "When you
Yeah.
get the belt, you become 30% better," or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe we see that with
And I think that
Pereira.
we see that with Pereira. And I don't
Maybe.
think and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna make another predictions that I feel very strongly about. I think after Alex Pereira wins this, Alex Pereira is gonna go up to light heavyweight. And I think Alex Pereira is gonna
That's
fight.
certainly his plan.
And I think Alex Pereira is gonna knock out Jamal Hill to avenge the loss of Glover Teixeira. I do.
You don't think they do Yuri Jamal first?
Oh, I think they'd want to. But I think when you look at a guy like Israel, I mean, you think about
Well, either way, that
Yuri
would-
versus Alex is a damn good fight.
Either way would be avenging Glover too.
Yeah. But if you ask me, though, I think that Alex Pereira fighting Jamal Hill, let's say he beats Jamal Hill like I expect him to beat.
Yeah,
He would. Yeah.
Alex
I
versus-
think it would be the winner of Yuri and Jamal, and then Alex would get that win.
But is Yuri going to be back in time? Is Yuri going to be healthy in time?
I mean, these championship fights.
I mean, we could potentially be looking at a quick turnaround for Alex Pereira, depending on what happens on tomorrow. on Saturday.
not if he goes 25, 20.
I don't think it goes that long. I think he gets Izzy out of there quick, personally.
I don't.
I hear
think,
ya.
I think that's not seeing their fights the right way.
No. Again, using your logic, again, we could disagree. I know that's your favorite fighter.
No, I'm
But
saying.
what I'm saying, I know that's your favorite fider, but I'm the guy that's going to be the voice of reason here.
Okay.
When a guy,
So when it
so-
goes 4 rounds,
then you
we
might
can
be
talk.
right. Then you might be right. But we see it differently. And it's okay to disagree.
all
We've
right,
disagreed
friendly,
before.
friendly.
The fact of the matter is, we just said again, when a guy becomes champion, to Teddy Atlas's thing, he becomes 30% better. So what does a 30% Alex Pereira look like on fight night against Israel Adesanya? If it potentially that fight ends quickly, what are we looking at? Okay, what am I looking at? I'm looking at a quick turnaround for a guy in Alex Pereira. I'm looking at Alex Pereira to fight on International Fight Week, taking on Jamal Hill.
Yeah, I also just think Alex Pereira knows Izzy's going to win the early rounds, as he usually does, and not look for that knockout early.
Right.
I just don't think that's his game
Right.
here.
Yeah. And just one thing to add, Malik, you said like,
And I know you don't want that either.
No, I certainly don't. But I also don't want to watch him win for 24 minutes and then get clocked again.
Right.
yeah. So you said something about Israel, how he believes he's better. I'll be honest, I don't like, obviously he's a fighter and obviously he should believe he's better. But if you're in his position, you've lost 3 times, 4 times, at some point, like, it gets in your own head. Like, why is he trying to change up his strategy, right? Like, if you have to tell yourself, like, obviously you're a fighter, you're going to change your strategy. But if you have to say, okay, I need to implement this, he is going to come at some point with the wrestling approach during this fight.
No, he has to. It has to be more than the last fight. The
It has to be
wrestling
earlier.
Here's how he was getting through this fight, and it was a very good game plan from Israel
I agree.
Adesanya. Win 3 minutes of the round, hold him against the cage for 2. Because what can't happen when Izzy's holding him against the cage? Izzy can't get knocked out. It just, his leg got hurt. He lost the movement. He could, that 5th round, the game plan went to shambles. If he can do what he did for 4 rounds, for 5 rounds, he wins.
Yeah.
Does anyone disagree with that?
No.
He's got to be perfect. Obviously, it's
So again, okay. So I think we're all in kind of agreement here. Are we all taking Alex Pereira the underdog?
I'm not betting this.
No. But who you taking? Who you
just a
predicting?
prediction. This
Don't
one's gonna
do
hurt.
this.
We've got to do this to you.
Probably Alex. Probably. I've watched it too many times.
Yeah.
I've had hope every time. Why should I do that to myself again?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Alex. I've got to take him. He's
I
plus-
think Israel
I did.
Adesanya.
We almost forgot some that we almost started talking about before we even started recording, and said to save it for the show. No
Oh.
matter who wins this fight, they will not fight again.
Yeah.
That is a wormhole the UFC cannot go down. If Izzy wins this, then in MMA they're 2-2. Then they have to fight a 3rd time. Then they have to fight a 4th time. No, this is the last time. This is number 4. You find me any combat sport where a guy, maybe wrestling, maybe like collegiate wrestling, where a guy has fought someone more than 4 times. You cannot do that. Dana cannot do that. Dana will not do that. I think Pereira goes up, win or lose. I think he goes up. I Oh, this hurts even more. I don't know what Izzy does if he loses.
If he loses, he's got to be.
Alex Pereira is 100% is going to try to run it back with Izzy if he loses though.
If he loses,
So,
the UFC won't make it.
But why? So my question, let's say why not?
Because it's a wormhole. You cannot go. That is freezing a division.
Okay, but let's talk about that. We saw that happen with Brandon Moreno.
That was
Davis,
3.
and
That's
Davis
the
Figueiredo.
cap. They will never fight again. No, I'm sorry. That was 4. That's the cap.
4.
This is 4 for Izzy.
No, but for the UFC, it's 2.
That's not how it works. That's not.
It is how it works.
No, 4 is the. I'm telling you.
Mhm.
I am telling you, they cannot go down.
But let me just make the case.
185 has been all Izzy for years. You can't just make it now. It's just Izzy and this other guy.
If
Who else is there? Khamzat Chimaev.
Real quick, if Israel,
then you could do Pereira. Then you could do Izzy and Chimaev. But you can't just keep doing that fight.
But what I will say is, if Israel beats him, this would be arguably one of the best back and forths we've ever seen in the UFC. This fight would sell again. I guarantee you it would sell again.
If Israel beats him,
yeah.
If Israel beats him and there is going to be another fight, here's how it happens. Izzy says you have to beat someone else first, and they make some type of interim. There has to be a fight in between. Do you get what I'm saying? You can't just do Izzy Pereira. You can't. They won't. The middleweight division has been all Izzy for 4 years now. You can't just make it all. There has to be people involved. It's a business. It's a business. They can't do that. They won't do that.
But you're saying there would still, if Izzy wins, there'd still be a chance for them to fight again, just not back to back.
It would not be the next championship middleweight fight.
Fair.
I disagree.
Here's what would happen. Pereira would sit out and Izzy fights someone else for one title defense in between. We've seen this happen before with John Jones and DC. They fought twice. Then DC had the belt again and fought Anthony Johnson. Then you just take any trilogy. I just wrote an article about all the best rivalries in the history of the UFC. There's someone in between. The next championship middleweight fight will not be this again. It won't. And it shouldn't be. That's holding up a division. A division where you have to build up fighters.
I think we'd agree to disagree. I just think that who's next? Khamzat Chimaev, to fight Israel Adesanya if he was to win, right? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think we agree to disagree. I think it's going to be one of those things where time will tell, right? Time tells everything. I know most Israel Adesanya fight fans out there, if Izzy does win, is praying that him and Alex never fight again, so Izzy can go off.
And that's not where I'm coming from. I genuinely believe as a business, you do not do that. And they have in the history of the business, they don't do that.
Right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what the UFC does. I just have a hard time seeing Alex Pereira walk off into the sunset after off of Izzy loss. Now, I think Izzy would have to beat him twice. I think Izzy would have to beat him twice in a row in order for him to really stamp that, because as far as he's concerned, this is the first time he beat him. Regardless, it's going to be a crazy UFC weekend. We are pumped for it. Ted, me, and Daniel will be all watching that live from Malik Studios.
Maybe we have to set up like a reaction video.
Oh, we'll have to.
Pereira fight.
Yeah,
your tears.
Definitely set up a camera. 1,000
tears. Ted's tears. Teddy's tears.
I think we should.
We got the
actually,
belt.
we
We
should
got
do,
the belt.
We could do like a little vlog, and it's 3 fights we do a reaction to.
Yeah.
Rob Fontanez, Gastelum, Curtis, and the main event.
That would be nice.
That's a good little video.
But we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that you guys tune into this weekend's UFC 287 card. And I hope you guys tail some of our plays. If you want my official picks for this UFC card, make sure you guys subscribe to the TWSN Patreon if you haven't done so already. We should have the graphic popping up on the screen there for you, and the link is down in the description so you guys can tail our plays. Thank you guys so much for tuning in here tonight. We wish you guys the best of luck on fight weekend and hope that you guys make a crap ton of money. Until next time, we are signing off from the First Logistics Studio. Take care, everybody.